Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. So just last weekend, not yesterday, the weekend before that, was New Jersey Collecticon. In this video, I'm going to recap New Jersey Collecticon. This coming weekend is Charlotte Collecticon. I'm also going to talk about that a little bit, but it'll mostly be a New Jersey Collecticon recap. I will have a big slideshow. I will have a bunch of the food that I ate, a bunch of the things that I did. I did not only go to the convention, I did not vend myself, but I did have a good friend, Ponga, sell a bunch of cards on my behalf, which I will talk about a bit. But yeah, overall, new location. Collecticon is doing 12 events this year. And I've heard Gary on Pokemon Wonders channel talk about there potentially being more next year. So yeah, first several minutes, I'm just going to talk about conventions in general. The same things always apply. I didn't vend this one, but when I go to Charlotte, I'm going to have good stuff priced well. I'm going to actually had some placards made up. Probably in 2 weeks from today, I will have a Charlotte Collecticon recap video. I'll try to keep the business at the front, the party at the back, you know, mullet style presentation. But yeah, so I brought primarily the video that I made a couple of weeks ago. I'll try to remember to link that. I bought a $10,000 collection of pretty liquid stuff. I bought a lot of alt arts. I bought a lot of promos. I bought some in quantity. If you want to check out that video, go see what I had there. I also had some ponchos. I had good stuff priced well. I'm actually going to be doing a video in the coming weeks. It might be next week's video. How I price cards. I get it occasionally. What's the market price of cards? I've made videos on how cards don't have a fixed market price, but the more liquid things that I transact frequently, and when I say good stuff priced well, by good stuff, I mean liquid stuff that is frequently selling. There are a lot of things that like Collector Boy Dan would value more highly than some of these modern high pop things that transact frequently, but the market is the market, and the fact is that a pop 10,000 card, who cares what you think might do in 5 or 10 years? We're dealing in today. We're doing business in today. So good stuff priced well, moderner, better, or higher pop to better. All these things that I'm constantly saying. Those are the kind of cards that I brought and I consigned with Ponga, and those are the cards that do really well. I primarily have always done graded. I've heard these things. People think raw is the only way to go. Raw will touch 95% of the market. Sealed will touch 95% of the market. You got some people that do only one or the other, but like most people do both of those things. Graded is like a rabbit hole type thing. As much as it might blow your mind, if you watch this channel, you are probably into graded Pokemon cards. That is not the majority of people though. Like one thing we need to separate ourselves from is our own little bubble that we live in. Not like a market bubble go pop, but like this little bubble that we're living in, thinking that everyone else transacts and acts and touches the hobby the same way that we do. So I kind of specialize in graded. It's what I've always specialized in: consigning, buying, flipping, selling my own stuff. Graded has been where I've been at. But yeah, raw does well, sealed does well, as long as it's good stuff priced well. The more niche, the more obscure, the less likelihood you'll have the right person walk across. And when you think about it, I've mentioned this before, like the amount of luck that has to happen that the person walking in front of your booth, even though at a Collecticon you'll have hundreds, thousands, maybe 10,000 would probably be pushing it, as far as 10,000 people almost surely walk through that door, but will 10,000 people actually look at your booth? Will they actually see what you have? Probably not. Probably thousands though. Probably thousands though across the full 2 days. So getting that intersection of having the card that they need, that they have money for, that they actually see, like there's a lot of stuff going there. And if you have a PSA 10 Moonbryon, there's just more potential buyers out there for that. You're more likely to cross paths with that individual because there are many, many times more of those than there are for like a PSA 10 level X card or something. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I think about. Those are the kind of things that I focus on as far as convention inventory goes. What else can I cover? Let's talk about New Jersey. It was a brand new location this year. It was drivable for me, so I will kind of document my driving journey down my whole weekend. But 4.5 hour drive maybe. I didn't drive directly there, sorry. So it's hard to say exactly what it was, but I think it was close to 4.5 hours. That's about what I am from New York City. And it was kind of weird. I turned down the road that it was on. most of the other Collecticons have been at massive convention centers that, like, once you get to the front door of the convention center, occasionally you have to walk half a mile within the building. This one was like in kind of an industrial park type area, and I turned onto the road that it was on, and it said I was a quarter mile away, whatever it was. I parked in a dirt lot at the end of the road because cars were lining the street the whole way. I didn't know. Looking at what I saw once I got in, it looked like the parking lot was going to be very busy. So I just parked in one of the open areas. The parking lot was fairly full that I was in, but I parked down there, and then I made my way down. You walk in the front doors and you're just in there. Like we were in this building of which the entirety was the Collecticon. It wasn't like Exhibit Hall A, Exhibit Hall C, whatever. I like the feel more of the other ones where you can kind of walk out of the convention into some big air-conditioned lobby. This one, it was like you were in or you were out. It was still fine, but overall, I've preferred the other locations. But given that this one is a 4-hour drive away instead of an hour drive and then a 3-hour flight and then a half an hour Uber, whatever it may be, it was nice. And if they return to that location, same hotel, same convention center, I will return. Even though it wasn't ideal, it worked out fine for me, because I kind of used the convention recommended hotel as my home base. And then I went to Sesame Place. I went to the American Dream Mall. I went to the convention. I went to Beerskis' house, Crayola. All these things I'll show pictures of later. But yeah, to me, I'm going, if it's in Edison again next year, I will probably stay at the recommended hotel again. I know some people do Airbnbs. I always like the recommended hotel. I will talk about Birch's Suite later. I might have to, I've already booked my hotel for Charlotte, so I probably am not going to go suite there because I've already booked it and it's just a regular room. But Birch having that suite was clutch. A lot of times we end up at bars in these big cities that are just way too loud and not really my scene, not really the old man scene. The suite with the N64, with all the games and a cooler of beers, like that is my scene. That is my scene. So yeah, potentially thinking about doing the suite setup in future Collecticons more frequently, trying to be like the home base, be the party spot. Whoever volunteers for that, you probably will not have an early bedtime, which I think I'm quite suitable for, because I'm usually closing down the bar. I'm usually one of the last ones to leave. My wife will back me up on that I have a hard time ending the party. But yeah, other than that, the trade night was funny. I'll touch on that more. I guess I'll touch on the trade night because it is convention related, and then I'll probably end up back there later. But the trade night was funny because I didn't get a picture of it, but I think it was like Sam, Master Set Games, that took a picture outside of the room in the recommended hotel. It said no trade night tonight. And on Discord, on Instagram, everywhere, like there were people talking about the trade night from I think it was 8 p.m. to midnight in the recommended hotel. And it was packed. I didn't see it, didn't hear it myself, but I heard that some of the hotel security or the bar security were worried about the like the fire marshal placard that's on the wall that tells you what the occupancy is for a room. I think we might have been in excess of that, and they were talking about shutting it down. They were turning the lights on, turning the lights off. I think they were trying to get people to disperse to some extent, but I don't think they ever really did. It was pretty packed. It was pretty hopping in there. I'm never usually like, I usually sell enough, and even though I didn't Venice convention, I did sell enough at the convention. Shout out to Ponga again. I sent the entire 10K collection that I bought in that video, and I sent an additional 5K 5-card collection that I'd bought, 2 ponchos and then a few Japanese base set cards. I sent 15 grand worth of cards, and I sold about half that. So yeah, shout out to Ponga for moving about half my product dollars wise. That went really well. So I usually do fairly well at the convention itself, and I usually don't focus on trading at the trade night. Some people set up like, I don't know if they're vendors or maybe they're people that go to buy during the day, and then they just like they take one of the seats in the bar, they take one of the seats wherever the trade night is, and they do like a little booth. They do a little, which I've never really looked to source. I've never really looked to sell at the trade nights, but some people seem to have really good success with that. So I think that was a thing. It was pretty crowded. It probably would have been too crowded almost to have too much success there. But yeah, I ran into a lot of people there. I ran into the UK crowd, Chloe, Harry, Sam. I actually got to meet Randolph Pokemon. Really good time in there. I talked with PK for a long time. Pokedean was there as well. I talked with Jake, Dylan. I talked with several people in there. Throughout this video, I'm going to name a bunch of names. I'm going to forget some amount. I always feel bad about that, but yeah, I have a bad memory, and it's just going to be a thing. But I think that will be the trade night, the convention itself. The main thing I was buying at this convention, and again, it will come up later in the photos, but my son is working on a Pokedex Binder. Someday, I'll probably wait till it's complete. Might be like a year from now, to be honest, because it's a big undertaking. I never completed the Pokedex Binder in my entire history. When I found my childhood binder back in 2014, I moved out of my parents' house into my own house in 2013, and I found my binder sometime between 2013 and 2014. I go off of the date when I registered on E4 back in 2014. To be honest, I might have lurked on E4 for several months or maybe a year, so maybe it was even 2013 that I kind of got back in. I'd have to look at my eBay, PayPal transactions to be 100% sure. But anyways, I was missing, when I found my childhood binder, I was missing a couple, like a Wigglytuff, a couple cards from Jungle and Fossil and Base. So I never completed a full, and I remember when I was growing up, I had it in Pokedex order 1 to 151, and then I'm like, oh no, I want to do 1 to 102 in the base, and 0 to 60, 0 to 64 in Jungle, and 0 to 62 in Fossil. And I never completed it. But now my son is going for a task that I failed to do 25 years ago when there was only 151 cards. He's doing it with 1,025 now. So I have the full collector D-ring binder with the Ultra Pro Platinum pages, the clear pages like I used to have growing up. I know we got all these fancy binders now that zip and the 4 pockets. I want one full Pokédex, or he wants one full Pokédex. I did consult with him about it, and he wanted a full Pokédex in one binder. So yeah, 1,025 slots with all those 9-pocket pages that we all know and love. Some people might hate the D-ring binders, but yeah, his big task, my big task, was helping him find cards in the dollar binders and the things like that, and we did well. He bought quite a few cards for his collection. His memory, absolutely insane. The things, we did have a list to work off of for basically like Kanto, but his memory, he'll look and it's like, Weasel, oh yeah, I don't have that one. Pancham, oh, I don't have that one either. Pangoro I do have, but I don't have Pancham. And oh yeah, Dad, like Ponga will tell you, Ponga will back up the claim that my son's memory is insane. He's constantly asking questions. He's getting me to learn more things about like what generation Sun and Moon is, and what are the starters for that one, and who else is in that generation. He's very big lately on what generation every Pokemon is and what game that relates to. He's very excited to start playing the game someday. But anyways, 12 minutes. Most people will have left by now. I will have had timestamps down in the comments for my little slideshow here. If there's something in particular that you want to skip or skip to, feel free to time travel there. But I have 2 beautiful little Quaxleys in my family, and throughout the presentation they will be Quaxleys. Just not big on showing my kids' faces on YouTube. It is what it is. But yeah, there's the man himself, Ponga, along with me. We went to get pizza and wings. Ponga, I didn't really think about it in advance, but he's like, hey, I'm in New York. This is the first time I've ever been in New York. I need to try some New York pizza. And whatever you give me, I'm going to fully judge New York pizza on. My kids picked this place because, like, off camera, you can't see it. It would have been like the direction Ponga's looking in. They have a big screen, like a projector, flat screen thing. And they always play like Disney movies. So my kids love going to this place because we have pizza and wings and we have Disney movies. Like, what more could you ask for? The town I grew up in, the town I went to high school in, if Ponga ever comes back, I will take him to that place and I will give him the best pizza around me, the best pizza in the world. Might be pushing it there, but at least to me, it's the best pizza in the world. It's very nostalgic. It's a very good New York pizza like I like. This place is good, but this place is not even like top 5, top 10 of places that I've been. The number 1 place, 20 minutes further away than this was. Next time I will take him there. But yeah, that was where we started. This is an antipasto. This is something that Retro always gives me crap for. He's like, you can't even see the lettuce. I ordered this at a restaurant. I've sent Retro pictures of ones that I've made. This is what was made for me at a restaurant. I mean, it could have used more meat. It could have used more cheese, tomatoes, olives. I'm not about it. The pepperoncinis, the onion, I'm all about it. So more pepperoncinis, more onions, more salami, more provolone, and then I'm there. The wife even puts ham on it when she does it. Some places do ham, some places don't. When my mom makes it, she does cucumbers, she does green peppers. So my mom does it a little bit healthier. My wife and I do it a little bit unhealthier, but it is a thing. It's not just me. It's not just made up. I had to show photographic evidence that it is a thing. This one is kind of a wild thing, but I guess roll it back some, because I was showing you Thursday night. I picked up Ponga at the airport. We went out to dinner. We played a little bit of Mario Party. We played a little bit of Mario Party with my kids, and then Ponga and I went to my office and did the live stream that you might have seen. So I'll try to remember to link the live stream there. But yeah, the live stream was there, and after the live stream, I'm actually recording this a couple hours after Box Nostalgia live episode ended, and Ponga talked about how he had my brisket. We had our beers, we did the IPA thing, we might have had a couple Jim Beam and Cokes, I might have had a pink lady cider, whatever that thing was. But yeah, so that was like Thursday night. This is Friday morning. This is driving down to Beerskis. The reason that the reason that Ponga is labeled as Ralph is because we stopped at a midway point 2 hours away or so, just to stretch the legs and let the kids go to the bathroom. You go on a 4-hour car ride with kids, you're never going to really one-shot that. You're always going to have to take a break, a potty break. So the kids got like Minion. Oh yeah, this is kind of a funny thing, kind of a silly thing, but kind of a funny thing. We got to, at 10:25, we got to McDonald's. I wanted an Egg McMuffin. The kids wanted Happy Meals. I couldn't remember for sure, but I was pretty sure it was 10:30. So I'm in my app and it shows 10:29. I get my wife her frappa, mochaccino, whatever the thing was. I don't do coffee. She had some fancy caramel macchiato cappuccino thing. And I got my Egg McMuffin. Boom, 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 checkout. I checked out at 10:29. I refreshed my app 1 minute later, and boom, the Happy Meals are there. Breakfast is over. I've never, like, I remember growing up sometimes, I wanted an Egg McMuffin, and it's like, oh, you missed it by 5 minutes. Think back to, what was it, Big Daddy, one of the Adam Sandler movies. I remember having an issue with the timing of McDonald's breakfast, like being there too early, wanting my Happy Meal and not being able to get it because it was still breakfast, and or being too late, wanting my breakfast but I couldn't get it because it was lunchtime. It was I've never in my life have I been there at the perfect minute to like get both orders in. I've probably been there as it's switched over, but I just wanted one of them. But yeah, like double dipping on both sides of that was just a notable thing from the trip, as silly as that sounds. Anyways, back to Ralph. He is called Ralph because my kids they both got a Minion in their Happy Meals named Ralph. So my wife took this picture of Ponga and myself, and then my daughter said, label Daddy Dad, and then label Ponga Ralph. Yeah, I don't know. That's the story on that one. Continuing on, we did ultimately make it to Beerskis. He had some chalk ready for the kids. He had a little rope swing out back. They played with that some. We were pretty much there just for lunch. We went to Crayola afterwards. So the kids did a little bit of chalk. They played with the dogs. They played with the cat. Very, very cool pets. Beerski had nice setup. His house was. We had a good time there. Not a long time, but we had a good time there. Appreciate you, Beerski, opening up your house to us. Later that night, they all did some alcoholic consumption. And they all did some, I brought down, I hand-delivered my N64 with a decent little library of games. It didn't have all the big hitters. I need to find where all of those went. But yeah, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party, Mario Kart, some solid ones. Most of the ones you'd need for a good time. So next one, I know, I remember Beerski, I forget if it was on... his solo podcast that he does in between the Box Nostalgias, or if it was on a Box Nostalgia, but I did get a picture of the Hogwarts Castle Lego that he talks about being in like his living room. And yeah, that was something that I had remembered him talking about in some of his content, so I snapped a picture of that. After that, this one was funny. So there's my two little Quaxleys and I go into Crayola experience. As always, I'm rocking the Avias. As always, I am rocking the t-shirt and gym shorts. That is my look. That is what I wear. Very, very fancy wardrobe. If not that, then it's cargo shorts carrying all the kids' different stuff. Crayola was a good time. I would recommend anyone with kids go there. It was pretty expensive, but overall it was a really good time. We were there a few hours. Tons of interactive exhibits, tons of interactive things that you can do with your kids. Go check it out if you are around there in whatever town, Pennsylvania it was. I don't remember. One funny thing in the gift shop on the way out, $50 mystery bags. So guaranteed $50 minimum value for 25 bucks. So when they presumably have items that don't get sold after 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is, they take them, they scoop them up into a bag, they staple the bag shut. This is just like a big brown paper bag. They staple it shut and they sell mystery bags, $50 retail value for 25 bucks. So I thought that was pretty funny. Pokemon weekend, looking at mystery bags, looking at something we see in our own hobby. This was some place down the street, some smoothie place. It was a smoothie place, and we originally went intending to get smoothies. We ended up getting milkshakes, so not very healthy, very tasty. Chamoy, I believe it was called. I think I'm saying that properly, hopefully. But yeah, Chamoy, walking distance of the Heldrich, which was where the recommended hotel was in New Jersey. We got very unhealthy Oreo milkshakes, and then whatever the other one was. I think. Yeah, my son and I got the Oreo ones, and then my daughter and my wife got the other ones. Basically, we got a big one just split down into 2 small cups. Mr. Beast Burger. So this is that was all Thursday and Thursday night. This is Friday now. We went to the American Dream Mall. I've watched a couple of Mr. Beast videos here and there. Not really my thing, but it's like, my son knows who he is. While we were eating the Mr. Beast burgers, he's like, how many subscribers do you have, Dad? I'm like, a little over 5,000. How many subscribers does Mr. Beast have? I think like 300 million. Wow, you don't have many. You're never going to catch him. So it was just funny to hear my son, the way he talked about my inability to catch Mr. Beast YouTube subscriber count. But burgers were good. It's rated pretty well. I actually got the Nashville Hot one. I tried some of my wife's, they got the, it wasn't, I don't remember which one it was, but food was fine there. I'm a big food guy, so I usually show pictures of the food. I didn't get pictures of this, but the kids ate it really well. So it's a big W in my book. I was happy with it. It was a lot of money spent on food, as always with these trips, but I'm a big food guy, so money well spent. This was pizza from that same night. I think this is actually out of order. No, this is out of order. This was after we got the milkshakes. We got more unhealthy stuff. We got pizza. This was New Jersey pizza, not New York pizza, but pepperoni. My son was not a fan of the basil on his plain slice. I had a buffalo chicken slice. But yeah, this stuff, or no, yeah, I'm wrong again. This is actually in the American Dream Mall. This was for dinner in the American Dream Mall, because over here there's dumplings. Over here, kind of off screen, there's dumplings that we got too. Dumplings and pizza, I don't know. It's what we did. My wife got a cookie too. Food was pretty good. This one not as good as Mr. Beast Burger. I would say Mr. Beast Burger was better. But we did Toysrus. So big thing in a lot of our childhoods growing up, going to Toysrus. That's where I bought my lime green Game Boy Color. I would say lime green, but I think it's kiwi. I have one right there. I believe it's kiwi they call it. My kiwi with my Pokemon Yellow. It was a big thing for me growing up, big thing for my wife growing up. So we got to take them to the only Toysrus in the country. I didn't even know that there was one. I think there's one in Canada. And I think they added one a couple years ago to the American Dream Mall. So we let them have a budget. I think we let them have a budget theoretically of like 60 bucks. They were going to split it between Toysrus and they were going to split it between the convention. They ended up spending more than half of that each, I think, at Toysrus. And then they both spent a lot more than the remainder of their 60 each at the convention. So they did well with that. I don't think I have any pictures in there, but we went to Nickelodeon Universe. A big recommend if you have kids anywhere from like, I mean, my daughter's only 3 going on 4, my son's 6, and all the way up to like teenagers. They had some decent roller coasters in there. They had some decent like minimum height 48 inches. My son is just over 48 inches. My daughter's like just over 42. So she did everything that she could do. She's more of like the thrill seeker like me. My son is a bit more cautious, not really a huge fan. So he could have gone on any ride in there, maybe except for one you had to be like 52 for, 4'4", or maybe 4'6", 54 inches, I don't know. but he didn't do a lot of the ones that he could have done. My daughter did all of them that she could have done. But I mean, I saw a lot of kids in there, teenagers, for like being inside of a mall. The theme park is pretty legitimate. I mean, there were some decent rides in there. I had a good time. Angry Birds mini golf we did afterwards. I think I got 3 hole-in-ones. I don't think I saved the score, but they had a little digital scorecard that you did in a browser, and I definitely dominated mini golf. Last couple times we did it, my wife has swept the floor with me, but I ended up beating her really big that time. I had a good night at mini golf for whatever reason. And yeah, that's Toysrus. That's Angry Birds mini golf. We also did, as I mentioned, we also did the Nickelodeon Universe. Big recommend on that to anyone with kids. That was a good time. Where are we next? Sesame Place. This place I was not as thrilled with. So I don't think I have, well, one, this lunch. You can't expect any different. This lunch was like $80. So you can't see the 4 drinks that we got. I think the 4 drinks we got were like $20, like $5 a piece. $15 pizza, $15 pizza, $15 chicken tenders. It was my son's birthday on Saturday. So we got him a $7 tiny cupcake. This was like $80 or $90. And I will give it one thing. I expected the worst. I knew I was going to be spending almost $100. I knew it was going to be, well, I thought I knew it was going to be really bad. It was pretty good. Like with how low my expectations were, it was pretty good. But overall, like Sesame Place, I will say, not very well organized. Like they don't know how to queue people properly. It took like half an hour to get in through security, and then an additional half an hour to get through like ticket scanning, whatever. They don't have lines. They just have like a big mob, and if you're not skipping people, you're getting skipped by people. And all over their website, all over the park, they talk about how big they are on like no skipping policies. The reason they have that is probably because they've gotten so many complaints. The reason they get so many complaints is because they don't queue people properly. They don't have the barrier set up. They don't have the line set up, the ropes, whatever. It was kind of a weird thing. But overall, like the rides were fun. The kids had a good time. Other than like the hour to get in there that was really messy, most of it was really good. Similar thing with a lazy river. How do you mess up a lazy river? Usually there's like 2 entrances that are also exits. They had like a lazy river is just a big loop that you float around. My son's a big fan because he just likes floating around the pool. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? I'm a fan of that too. But they had 2 entrances with 2 separate exits. So you were getting out and you were setting your tube on the side and no one was there to take your tube. So if you joined, you'd be like going around the new entrances on your tube, people trying to like take your tubes from you, but you couldn't even get out there at the entrance if you wanted, because it was a one-way thing. Like, how do you screw up a lazy river? How do you screw up the entry queues? Like, Sesame Place just needs to get on that. Otherwise, it's a pretty decent park. Probably one and done for us. Our kids are probably getting to where they're going to be too old for that. If I ever go back there, I will go to Nick Universe by far and away over Sesame Place. But still, they had a good day. This was dinner. So after Sesame Place on the way home, before we met up with everybody. So I delivered Ponga on Thursday. This was Friday was Nick Universe. Saturday was Sesame Place. This is Saturday night. And it was my son's birthday dinner. He wanted crab legs. And I mean, I'm a big fan of crab legs. I'm not going to argue that. I looked all over the place, everywhere between Philadelphia and Edison, or not Edison, but wherever the Heldrich was. Everywhere between there, I looked crab legs. And I found a place called Chickies and Pete's, rated very well. Not only did they have crab legs, I'm a big fan of steamed clams, little neck clams. They had crab fries, which I had no idea what it was, but like certain kind of a seasoning on it. And then they had this delicious cheese dipping sauce. Mozzarella, like look like tater tots, but they're actually mozzarella sticks. Tiny little tot-sized mozzarella sticks. They were all right. Philly cheesesteak nachos were pretty good. My wife wasn't a big fan. Chicken wings. So like a top meal for me, my son's birthday dinner. I mean, and relative to what we paid at Sesame Place, we probably paid like $120 here, but look at the food quantity and quality compared to the $80 or $90 we spent at Sesame Place. This was like a very solid meal. You can see in the background, that's my daughter. My daughter slept through the whole thing. I tried waking her up at one point. The appetizers came, the crab fries and the mozzarella sticks, and I tried waking her up and she wouldn't budge. So I gave her her drink. She sat up, she took a couple sips. I'm like, here's a fry if you want it. She just slept through the whole thing. She was so beat after, not after just Saturday at Sesame Place, after all day Friday at Nickelodeon Universe. So it was a big weekend. It was a lot, but this is where the Pokemon point started. So I talked about all the beginning convention stuff at the start. Oh man, look at that meal. Take me back. That was such a good meal. So this was after the trade night. This was actually in Professor Birch's room. Shout out to him. I know I mentioned him earlier. But yeah, Saturday night, we did that dinner that I just showed. We went back. Kids went right into the tub. Wife took that over. I helped with the bedtime routine a little bit. I did the teeth brushing thing. Shout out Professor Oak. He was not there, but he shouted out the Pokemon Smile app several months ago on a Slabs podcast, and my kids are so much better at brushing their teeth now because every night they brush their teeth with Pokemon. They have little Pokemon hats, they can do little Pokemon stickers, and they're brushing their teeth, and Charmander's hopping around blasting plaque and cavities off their teeth, plaque and tartar or whatever. So anyways, I did the bedtime routine. The wife took over the rest of that and went to bed with the kids, and I went out maybe 9:30. I kind of joined up with everybody. So I talked earlier about meeting all the UK people, not meeting, but like seeing again and meeting some of the UK people at the bar, talk about how the bar was almost closed down. Maybe about 11, I decided that like, okay, the bar's pretty packed. Let me text Ponga. Let me text a couple people, check Discord, see where everyone is. And everyone, including Chemo. Chemo collects Kareem. This is who I bought these 6 cards from. So these are the 6 cards I bought for me. The other cards I bought at the convention were all for my kids' binders. But yeah, decent little, always buying 80%, all that good stuff. Always consigning 85 to 95%. Feel free to reach out if you have anything to sell or anything to consign with me. But yeah, Professor Birch's room was a really good time. Yeah, this is on to the next day. So let me recap a little bit. More in depth. I don't know how much more there is to add. There were so many people in that room. The suite is the play. Gem Mint Pokemon, Ava's Binder, Weedle's Warehouse, Ponga, Chef, like Birch, the one who was hosting in his room. So many people. Gengar's Den. A lot of the people that were at Beerskis ended up coming to the convention too, and a lot of them stayed there Saturday night after staying Friday night at Beerskis. So it was a great time. I dominated N64 Smash. If you are out there watching, listening, and you play N64 Smash, I want to play against you at some point. I don't think I'll bring my N64 to Charlotte, but maybe I will. I don't know. I'd probably have to ship it down for lack of space. The thing was, I was driving, so I could bring whatever. But I want to play more people. I have not yet met a match in N64 Smash. I played several rounds. I played the first handful as Pikachu, and I was just destroying people. I was ending with multi-stocks left. I was ending with like 6, 7, 8 KOs. Nobody else over 1 or 2, 3. And then I started memeing with Ness and Donkey Kong. And N64 Smash, one of the best games of all time. One of the best systems of all time. Fox Nostalgia just actually finished earlier tonight, ranking it as an S tier appropriately. But yeah, I had a blast with that. Cooler full of beers. Great people, great time, like great food throughout the whole weekend. What a great event, what a great time overall. Thanks again, Birch, for hosting and for having the sweet room. That was awesome. Again, too many people to list, but I listed a handful there. I'll try to list more later if I think to circle back on that. I do have some loose notes here that I am forgetting to look at, but I think I've covered everything on it so far. So this was the next day. I think Friday night, and I tried looking for the group picture from Friday night, from the dinner that I didn't go to. I counted 21 people. 21 people went to that dinner at some Mexican cantina. Across the street from that, down the road from the Heldrich, two blocks walk, the opposite direction of Chamoy, had some tavern place. I forget what it was called, but something tavern. Wife got chicken and waffles. For dessert, she got this little pick 3 different donuts, maple bacon, potato chip, and Nutella. That one seemed weird to me. Some blueberry thing or other. I didn't try. I ate a couple of the bacons that fell off, but I'm not a big sweet tooth. I had a buffalo chicken wrap that was really good. Their blue cheese was amazing. I would highly recommend anyone to go here. Off screen slightly, but they had this big mozzarella stick log thing. My kids love mozzarella sticks. Yeah, if you have kids, you know that they pick a couple food types and they just like mozzarella sticks for the past several months has been their big thing. So this massive log of a mozzarella stick that they gave you a little cleaver to cut, that's off screen, but that was really good. Food was really good here. After Chickies and Pete's, this was the second best meal that I had, easily. This was really solid. Now here we're at the convention. So yeah, that lunch that I just showed you was Sunday afternoon before we went to the convention. So I believe this was Aisle Collectibles. Shout out to Edison. I believe we went to his section first. I joked about this earlier in PK's live stream. Everyone was live tonight. PK was live, Box Nostalgia was live, and Cardboard Hands was also live. So I watched 3 live streams tonight before I went to this. But I know PK was talking about kind of being in a bad spot. I made a joke about being 6'4". I can see everyone from everywhere, so nothing's a bad spot because I found everyone that I was looking for, I think. I think afterwards I ended up reading and like, oh man, I can't believe this person wasn't there, or me getting there. I didn't get to the convention. We had lunch that I just showed, and then we got to the convention maybe like 2 o'clock. I was only at the convention for like 3 hours, maybe 1:30. Because one thing that worked well, and one thing that I said I'd want to highlight in this, I've heard a lot of people. I've heard like Oak, I've heard Z&G Emporium, James. I've heard a few different people talk about like, don't bring kids to conventions, especially the really young ones. The music, the this, the that, the crowd, everything is really bad. I went into it knowing what Collecticon could be like. Saturday was like a zoo, from what I heard. Not the good kind of zoo my kids like to go to with animals. A zoo of humans, packed way too tightly, and the way too loud concert. I'm glad I didn't take them to Saturday. I don't have any intent to take them anytime soon to a Saturday Collecticon. Taking them Sunday afternoon, that was the play. It was pretty thinned out. It was actually community day, so all day long my kids were catching like 2 to 5 p.m. We got there at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, my wife and I handed our phones to the kids. They were catching Tynamos all day, looking for shiny Tynamos. And between buying from binders, flipping through binders, catching all the Tynamos, I know a few of the people in the section, so I went into Pokenomics section, Jake section. I went into Ponga section. I went into to a few different sections. The kids sat down. They put their cards in the binders. Like, we took multiple breaks with them. We had them occupied for only a few hours. So if you're ever going to take very young kids to Collecticon, I would lean you towards Sunday afternoon, and I would try to have, like, we actually had their tablets for them. So at one point they took a 15-minute tablet break. They rated binders, they talked to, they met, they got to see Ponga again. They were excited to see Ponga again after, like, hey, where's that dude that we delivered down to that other dude's house? Hey, there he is right there. So really good time. I think I intended to take pictures of every card that he bought, and I did it for one. So, but he's like, oh, Dad, who's that? And I'm like, that's a Brava. And what generation is that? And this, and like, and my daughter really likes Jinx. She thinks she's like a princess or something. So my daughter always wants to buy Jinx, and there's a Smoochum, but always talking about like, oh yeah, I need that guy. He's the one that evolves into the big dragon, right? And I'm like, yep, Salamence. He asked me what generation. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. Usually you can look at their Pokedex number for a hint. But the fact that he just knew, and I think he missed. I think he doubled up on a couple cards that he had already had in his Pokedex binder, but he probably had like a 90% rate of picking ones that he actually didn't have in his Pokedex binder. Here's me and my son looking in Benji's Hoots. Sterling's right there too. Looking in his binder, I think we picked out 5 or 6 cards in there. One thing that we were constantly doing, one funny thing that I almost forgot to add too, I jokingly like told my son, hey, walk up to that guy right there. Walk up to him and say, are you doing trade-ups? I raised my kids right, my 2 little Quaxleys. They were too ashamed to ask for a trade-up challenge. What I did have them do though, and nobody declined it. Maybe they didn't decline it because it was kids. Maybe I took advantage of that a little bit. But I'm like, hey, if it says it's a $1 binder, pick out 6, give them a 5, and ask them if they'll take it. Everyone took it. Some people's dollar binders were like 5-cent bulk cards, so of course they're gonna take it. Some people's dollar binders were actually decent. Like I wasn't doing it, but if you actually comp them off TCG Player, if you actually, some of them were like bulk Vs, bulk V Maxes. Some of them were cards that you could probably bulk for $1 each, but they're not gonna tell a 6-year-old kid, no, on six for $5. But yeah, there's my daughter catching a Dynamo. There's my son looking through Benji's binders. He threw in some pins. He threw in some nice stuff there. A lot of people were graciously like, hey, take this extra card. Here's some free cards. They got a lot of freebies, a lot of good stuff. They had a great time. Always being occupied with Pokemon Go or tablets or their binder or buying from binders. But yeah, I got to see TC Genius. I got to see Wolfie. Let me look at my list here. I got to meet Graded Never Faded. I got to meet Sergio. I got to meet Poke Plumber, Nick. Nick was very nice to talk with him on Instagram a little bit here and there. Got to see Gary and Ed, King Pokemon, and his buddy E Birdman. Got to see Nick, Jake, PK. Got to see Johto Giraffe. Let me look at the sections list quick. Got to meet Spat, who might be running a fantasy football league in the fall. Got to see Gengar's Den. I did miss Melfi. I don't know if you'll be listening this late. I don't know if you listened at all, but Melfi Collectibles unfortunately did not get to meet you because he left too early. A lot of people that I probably missed because I went just for half a day so late. But yeah, I know that's not going to be an exhaustive list, but I got to see a bunch of great old friends, meet and make a bunch of new great friends, and I had a great time. I think that's all my notes. I think I have a couple more pictures that I will cover. Going to be nearly 50 minutes by the end of this one, but great weekend. I wanted to recap it as I always do. This was an interesting one. So I'm not going to mention the card that was purchased, but Ponga will recall this. And actually on the right, so needs list, it was all, they only got to like, they got to here. You can see the end of Kanto. So they got a little bit into Johto, and then the latest one is Corsola, Ursaring, Scissor. So yeah, I think they were stuck. Is Corsola? I think that's Gen 2. Maybe it's Gen 3. Maybe they got a little bit into Gen 3, but my son had only written down cards from the first couple generations, but he was buying ones from generation 4, 5, 6, like, well, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he was pretty good with missing duplicates, getting unique ones. But I sold cards. I sold a card, and I don't know. It came $1,000, came in an envelope that said rent on it. I hope this guy was a landlord and this is rent money that someone paid to him. I hope that it was not rent that he was putting into Pokemon cards instead. But I remember when I got it, I counted out the money and deal got done, the guy went away. And I looked at Ponga and I'm like, look at what this envelope says. There's no way. I like, please no, I hope not. But like, what can you do? I just thought that was a potentially sad, potentially funny little thing to throw in there. This one was funny too. So I didn't find the whole picture. This is a screenshot that I took, and I made a meme in Discord about like, find someone that looks at you the same way Beerski looks at Ponga. This was just way zoomed in on the picture of 21 people. That's why it looks so grainy. And one thing I wanted to throw in, my kids are getting so into like Super Smash Brothers. We played Mario Party with Ponga on Friday night. My kids, this was Monday when we got back, but yeah, my kids are getting so into all things Pokemon, getting into all things Nintendo, and I'm so excited for it. I've played a little bit of N64 Smash with them both, but here's them playing Switch Smash at home. I think, yeah, that is everything. Let me go back full. We got some good food on the way home at some like Redwood Barn restaurant, just to cap off the food adventures. We got pizza. I got fried chicken. It was really solid. I think that's everything though. That's way more than 99% of people wanted. My retention is all the way down. I just talked about pizza. Throw a pizza emoji in the chat if you made it to 43.5 minutes. I will do this again in 2 weeks. I will recap Charlotte. PowerPoint, slideshow, however I do it, I will recap. That one I'm vending. So there'll probably be, instead of 10, 12, 15 minutes at the front end like this one had, talking about the convention and this and that, I'll probably do like 20 to 25 minutes at the front, 30 to 35 minutes at the back, maybe make it a full hour recapping Charlotte. But in between, I'll probably do like how I price slabs, because I think it fits well. Like pricing slabs for a convention. What apps do I use? What resources do I use? One thing that I think a lot of people take for granted is how easy it is to price these cards very quickly. The different apps that you can put on your phone that will just instantly scan raw cards for you, graded cards for you. They'll show you last sold, low list, high, like all the different things all in one place. I think a lot of people are like really sleeping on and taking for granted compared to what I had 10 years ago. So look forward to that video in a week, how I price cards, and in 2 weeks, Charlotte Collecticon recap. That is everything. That is more than enough, I think, for one video. I appreciate you all watching, and I will catch you all later.